Hello guys, sorry for this huge mess that's going on my head today, but I just re-dyed my hair, and right after I re-dyed them, there's just literally nothing I can do with them. I can't curl them, I can't make them look good, and it's just a whole shit wreck on my head, so just forgive the shit wreck. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys on a somewhat important subject, since I've already got into the whole psychology thing on this channel and I'm starting to rant a lot on this channel. I thought that this might be a good way to first of all rant, get all my irritation out of my body, and also to teach you something, guys, in the process. Now, what really irritates me is how people view mental illnesses. Now, I'm not talking about people who are like, oh no, they don't really exist. There's like, they are nut jobs and they'll never believe it, no matter whatever you say. I'm talking about the people who believe in them a little bit too much. Now, this video is gonna be a general video, but I plan on making some separate videos on how people incorrectly view illnesses like bipolar depression, bipolar disorder, or depression. Manic depression is bipolar disorder. Never mind. Schizophrenia, and I don't know about how many videos like these I want to make of how many different illnesses. It's just a general idea, so you can also tell me, guys, if you'd be interested in something like that. But in this video, I want to tell you about all the illnesses. Now, the reason this stuff irritates me is that I'm going through the internet, and this is something you're bound to see while on the internet. I see a huge amount of people talking about all the mental illnesses they have, and okay, you can have mental illnesses, you can even have more than one. There's even something called co-illnesses. Honestly, I have no idea how it is in English. I'm just kind of translating because I don't study in English. But you know, like co-illnesses, so if you have one illness, the other kind of, there's a huge chance of getting another. But there's a certain limit, and this is the limit I'd like to talk about today. My point is that I see a lot of people talking about all the illnesses. Like one girl, for instance, saying how she has, oh my god, I'm sorry again. She has bipolar disorder, depression, mania, schizophrenia, anxiety, and PTSD, and some other shit like I think ADHD and all that stuff. Okay, so let's say there's around 7 illnesses. I have never in my whole life met someone with so many illnesses. In the country I live in, depression and anxiety are the so-called trendy illnesses. So a lot of people have depression and anxiety, but not really. They claim they do, they think they do, maybe even a psychiatrist told them they do, although I highly doubt that, but they don't really. And I'm not saying that everyone who says they have depression or anxiety doesn't have them. I think a lot of people do, but those are just illnesses that a lot of people claim to have because they are trendy. Like, for instance, in the 60s it was, trendy to do drugs or to be a hippie or something. I have no idea what was trendy then. In today's times, it's trendy to have depression or anxiety. And a lot of people claim to have them without really knowing anything about those illnesses. But okay, that's another topic. My point here is that you can't have, maybe you can have a lot of illnesses, but there's some illnesses here that kind of fight with each other. Bipolar disorder is basically an illness when you have both mania and depression all your life. So for instance, you go on half a year having depression, half a year having mania, or a month having depression, a month having mania, then depression, mania, that's bipolar disorder. So if you have bipolar disorder, you can't have mania and depression as different illnesses, as separate illnesses, because mania and depression are basically bipolar disorder. So if you say, I am bipolar, you are bipolar, you've got bipolar disorder. You don't have bipolar, mania, and depression. You just have bipolar, because that's what it is, mania and depression. So that's the first thing that doesn't really, come into context here. And maybe this girl just didn't understand this, maybe she just didn't really know what she was diagnosed with, but my point here being is like, you can't have 3 hands and 5 hands. You either have 3 hands or you have 5 hands. I don't think that, I've heard of people being born with 3 hands, but I haven't really heard of people being born with 5 hands, but you get my general idea. And as for the rest, PTSD, I want to make a video about PTSD as well. PTSD is a very, very serious illness, but I mean, you can have PTSD and schizophrenia, but very often it's just one of them. While having PTSD, she also had insomnia, so let's add in insomnia, since this is the general topic of the video. Insomnia, PTSD, schizophrenia. Insomnia can be a part of one of these three things, but it doesn't have to. Two things, sorry. My point is that both in PTSD and schizophrenia, you don't necessarily have to, but you can have visions, like hallucinations. In PTSD, you get flashbacks that aren't really hallucinations, but if it's a very severe PTSD case, you may have hallucinations. Same with schizophrenia. I mean, many people think that schizophrenia is you've got hallucinations all the time and you have no idea what's going on. That's not true. In very, very severe cases, you may have hallucinations when you're schizophrenic, but that's not really what schizophrenia is about. And I may do a different video about where I tell you what schizophrenia is. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can have hallucinations. Most of the time, schizophrenics just hear things, or they have a different perception of the world, but they can have hallucinations. My point here is that I'm not sure if this girl has been diagnosed, because as I mentioned, I don't think it's only a problem in my country. I think it's a problem in many countries right now, that people don't really go to the psychiatrist, they self-diagnose. And I think that this may be the case with this girl. She might have diagnosed herself incorrectly. PTSD isn't, you can go through something traumatic and not have PTSD. You can go through rape and not have PTSD. Of course, you can go through rape and have PTSD, but you don't necessarily have to. My second point is that not everything that you claim to be traumatic is traumatic enough to get you PTSD. You can get PTSD from something very, very traumatic, like rape, for instance, especially if it's a rape that happened many times. But usually you get PTSD from situations that nearly kill you. That's why soldiers have PTSD. For instance, if you were in a bombing in the London subway one day or something like that, you can have PTSD from that. Usually you get PTSD from a nearly death experience. As I mentioned, it does have to be, it can be something as traumatic as rape, but if it's something like your parents' divorce, or I don't know, something like that you find traumatic, it may be traumatic for you, but it does not cause PTSD, and you have to remember that. So, I don't know if this girl really had PTSD, but I don't think she had both PTSD and schizophrenia, because if she, for instance, had a very severe case of PTSD, and she had hallucinations, then it didn't have to be schizophrenia. Also, she might have not had either schizophrenia or PTSD, because if you're insomniac, very chronically severely insomniac like me, you get hallucinations from time to time. And if you'd like, I can make a video on my hallucinations, because we could laugh together. Some of my hallucinations were really weird. Tell me in the comments below if you'd like to laugh at my weird brain. So, touching this up, also, you may sometimes experience hallucinations while being maniac in the bipolar disorder spectrum. So, this happens rarely, but it can happen. So, especially if you self-diagnose, not that you can't, please don't diagnose yourself with everything. Mostly because some of those illnesses just don't really go together, and even if they would, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got all of them. I'm not saying this, this started off as a rant, but right now I'm just telling you because it's not right to people who actually suffer from stuff like this. It's really not. And most of all, why would you want to diagnose yourself with something you don't have? You may go to a psychiatrist, and maybe a psychiatrist would diagnose you with one or two things, maximum 3, but it's highly improbable, if you're a functioning human being, that you've got a lot of them. If you've got depression, there's a huge chance you're insomniac and you've got anxiety. Okay, if you're schizophrenic, then you can have insomnia too. If you're manic, you probably won't have, you probably won't have insomnia. But my point here is that most of the time, if you self-diagnose, or even if a psychiatrist tells you, first of all, there might be nothing wrong with you. And second of all, have all those illnesses, okay? Because that's a lot of illnesses to have. It's like you had cancer and HIV and Ebola and the flu and I don't know, you were dying from starvation. I don't know, okay, I know that those illnesses are probably a bit worse than mental illnesses. My point is that, you know, you can't have all those illnesses physically at once. And most people don't go all around sick of, oh, I've got cancer and Ebola and I'm dying out of 3 different illnesses as well. No, people don't do that. So why, for God's sake, do you do stuff like that with mental illnesses? Also, another thing that really irritates me is that this happens especially with teenagers. And you know what's the best thing? I'm sorry if I'm gonna piss someone off, but this is the truth. If you're a teenager, especially if you're self-diagnosed, but even if you go to a psychiatrist, there's a high probability, like 90% chance, that you don't have any of these disorders. Because teenagers just have mental swings. God, when I was a teenager, I used to go from like manic episode to depression in like an hour, or even slower. Does that mean I'm bipolar? No, because first of all, when you're bipolar, those acts last at least a week, not an hour. So I'd have to be depressed or manic for at least a week. Second of all, teenagers have hormone swings. And yeah, we go through all these emotions, we go through anxiety. Every teenager does that. Does not mean you've got anxiety, that does not mean you're depressed, manic, well maybe schizophrenic, yeah, but probably, I don't know. My point here is, something that I usually see teenagers doing. And yeah, this may have been a bit ranty, but most people I want you guys to, I want you to do something, okay? Because as I mentioned before, you can have several different types of cancer at the same time, but you probably won't have both cancer and the flu and I don't know, UTI infection, I don't know, there's a very small chance that you'd have this a little bit physical illnesses, and it's the same with the brain. So sorry if this video is a bit longish, please don't give this much feedback, but this is just something that's really important. Also, if you'd like to know more about this illness and more about ideas about this, tell me. I'd like to PTSD, depression, bulimia, schizophrenia, insomnia is already done, bipolar and all that stuff. I'd love to. Just tell me in the comments below. Hope to see you next time. Oh no, please like, comment something nice. Subscribe to my potato face even if you're mad at me. And hope to see you next time. Bye.